You ever try to learn something you're really passionate about, but all the tools you find, they just don't get you? They don't speak your language, literally or culturally? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. We're diving into a really cool story about how one designer tackled this exact problem for musicians in India.
And this right here, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? This captures the quiet frustration of thousands of people. It was never about a lack of passion. The dream was to play those classic Bollywood songs, the music you grew up with. But everyone was hitting a brick wall, a wall made of messy, incomplete, and frankly, often wrong YouTube tutorials.
So let's dig into that frustration a little more. I mean, why was this so difficult? Learning the music you love should be fun, right? Not this huge, complicated challenge. Well, the answer really lies in what was or wasn't available to them.
And get this, the numbers are just staggering. A whopping 87% of learners said YouTube just wasn't cutting it. And for the folks who tried real-life classes, almost 3/4 of them ended up lost in these massive rooms with like 40 other students. So it was clear, both the online and the offline worlds were letting them down.
So let's be super clear. The problem was never motivation, not at all. It was a total breakdown in the learning system. People were missing three crucial things: a clear structure to follow, some actual guidance, and a sense of belonging, a connection to their own culture and their learning.
Okay, so you know what the problem is, but what do you do about it? Well, this next part was all about rolling up the sleeves and digging deep. We're talking field research, sitting in on live classes, and actually talking to 16 different musicians to find out what was really going on. And after all that digging, it all boiled down to these four big things. First, no path. They were totally lost, with no clue what to practice next. Second, no cultural relevance. I mean, why are you learning Beethoven when you really just want to play R.R. Rahman? Third, no feedback. They were practicing in a total vacuum with no idea if they were getting better or worse. And finally, no motivation. When you don't see progress, you just stop.
You know, this quote from a musician just hits the nail on the head. It's so perfect. It shows they weren't asking for some crazy new tech. They just wanted something they could trust. A single, reliable, all-in-one guide. Kind of like those study books they used in school. They wanted one place to get the real story. And this is where it gets really interesting. Look at the landscape. You had these big, polished apps like Simply Piano that gave you structure and feedback, but zero Indian music. Then you had local tutors who totally got the culture but couldn't give you real-time feedback or a clear, structured path. Nobody was serving that missing middle, the person who wanted all of it. And that gap, that was the big opportunity. So, the answer? It was built on this beautifully simple but really powerful idea, a four-part loop: learn, practice, test, and track. This wasn't just a list of features. It was designed to be a complete circle, a system to make musicians feel guided and confident, not lost and confused. Let's break that down real quick. First, you learn, but with a focus on Indian music from day one. Then you practice, and you have AI that gives you instant feedback. After that, you test yourself to actually prove that you're improving. And finally, you track your progress, which is what builds that confidence and makes you want to keep going. See how each step directly takes on one of those big pain points? It's pretty smart. Okay, so that's the big idea. But how do you actually build that? Well, it all came down to one thing: the media player. You know, the actual screen where you practice. Getting this one screen right was the single biggest challenge of the whole project. So the team basically had two big ideas on the table. The first one was these vertical falling notes, kind of like Guitar Hero. It's great for quick reflexes, but it's a disaster for actually learning a song because you can barely see what's coming next. The other idea was horizontal bars. This let you see much further ahead, but the risk was making the screen look super crowded and overwhelming. So which one won? Well, the decision wasn't about what looked cooler on a screen. It was way deeper than that. It was about culture. The horizontal design won because it actually mirrors the way many Indian musicians naturally think about a melody moving from left to right across the piano. It just felt more intuitive. All right, so the theory sounds great. The design feels right, but here's the million-dollar question. Did it actually work for real people? This next part is all about the results. This is the proof. And wow, the results are pretty amazing. Over 1,500 musicians, 1,500, mastered their very first Indian song using this platform. That's not just a vanity metric. That's a life goal achieved for so many people.
And it wasn't just the users who were impressed. The project also got some serious validation from the business world. $50,000 in funding. That proves investors also saw the huge potential in solving this very specific, very human problem.
Remember that huge pain point about having no structure? Well, check this out. More than half of the users, 52%, said the app made structured practice easier for them. That is a direct bullseye on one of the biggest problems they set out to solve.
And then there's the motivation piece. This quote just says it all, right? A simple little feature, a streak counter, was enough to create a powerful emotional hook. It built a habit. It made people want to come back. For any learning app, that's the holy grail. So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with this question. The big win for Easy Piano came from finding that missing middle, that sweet spot where existing solutions were only doing half the job. So the question for you is, in your work, in your industry, where's the missing middle? Because finding that, well, that just might be your biggest opportunity yet.